Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Out of the Ordinary Friends podcast. I'm joined by the usual, myself, Alex, Andrew, Zach, Michael, and look at this. We have a guest, finally, during this pandemic. It is Elijah. Now, if you've been listening to our episodes, you've heard Elijah's voice, but you've never seen Elijah, unless you already know Elijah. But this is Elijah. Welcome to the podcast, Elijah. How are you doing?
It's good to be back. Always doing good. Always.
Now, Elijah is one of our number one fans and has been listening to our episodes since the very, very beginning. Now, how have you been digging the whole remote recordings of our podcast? Knowing the limitations and knowing the constraints of being remote and recording.
I enjoy being able to look at the podcast because I have it playing on my phone oftentimes when I'm doing something else, like reading for classes or just, staring at wallpaper. I enjoy looking over at the podcast and, seeing, in particular, Zach's face when something, like a superhero comes up, right? You can see it in his eyes. I enjoy that aspect. That's very nice. But I understand the technical difficulties that come out of this are a little bit more awkward than you would want.
Yes.
Everyone, I think, would rather be doing this in person if, the plague hadn't decided to drop.
Absolutely. But you've been listening and you've been enjoying it, I think, or you've been having some qualms of what we've been saying. You obviously know that we are doing a podcast, right? So sometimes in the heat of battle, in the heat of a conversation, people say some things that you 90% of the times don't really mean, but you say it anyway because it builds conversation and it engages the other people on the podcast. Like for example, we were just talking about this before off air, my whole spiel about the game length and all that, and how I did not understand the meaning of the question. But then, since I knew, I didn't even know that that was the actual question. I was spitting out stuff, to make it somewhat entertaining, but also trying to not to be such a fool. So I was
talking to another listener about that actual in particular episode, and he was saying that it was actually kind of hard to get through the episode because it felt like you guys were talking past each other, like ships in the night, kind of going like this.
Exactly.
I can actually do visuals now.
Yes.
Like that,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you really need to emphasize your ignorance to kind of sell episodes. I mean, you're already ignorant enough to get that through.
True. But if I do that, then you get to see the real me reincarnated on the podcast.
Well, I mean, the real you would be about 6 beers in right now. So
True. Yes.
Why don't we pause this? You go do that. And we'll start up again.
Well, you see, I'm sober actually. I'm drinking the good old H2O. But funny that you mentioned, not drinking beer. It's almost October. You know what that means? Sober October.
My birthday.
Your birthday too, but
Hey!
Most importantly,
No.
for me at least,
Nope.
most importantly, sober October. But you know what? I
don't-
haven't been drinking that many beers lately, so it's not that big of a deal. I don't feel like I'm struggling or anything like that. But it's it's been good.
We're struggling.
I don't know. I've seen Elijah pretty sad for missing out on my birthday festivities. Not so much missing out on Oktoberfest, though.
I do apologize, Michael, for consistently missing birthday parties. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I feel so bad.
Can't all be
It was
there.
every year work or something would come up, and I'm like, I guess Michael can just hang out with his other friends. That's cool. That's fine.
Now, if you guys
But
have noticed,
Sober October, I'm fairly certain is an Alex-driven meme. I don't.
no, it's
Zach,
not. It's
look at me.
Most memes are.
You don't care,
It's-
right? Yeah.
About
so
Sober
Zach-
October? No.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not a real thing other than just to stop
the
this
fact
man.
checker himself.
well, you see, it's not a made up thing. All right, I listen to a group of podcasts
It's for people
who
have
talk
problems.
about, and they're comedians, by the way. So they talk about shit
So
all the
you know.
time to make it funny. But they have this thing
Yeah.
called Sober October, and the whole thing was that they would do it because one of the comedians would be a pretty heavy drinker,
Amount.
and they all noticed that you drink too much sometimes,
Twilight.
right? So this month, let's try to see if we can turn the tide. So see if you can stop drinking, But then it became a whole thing of being healthier during October and all that, and being more appreciation of your wellness and all that. So I use that. I'm like, you know what? That's a good idea to, because I would say that I'm a pretty avid drinker. I don't need it, obviously, but I do drink quite often and quite a bunch often. So, I kind of use that to see, hey, I think I could. I know I could do it. I mean, I've said this before. I don't ever have to drink a beer again. I can pretty much do that right now if I wanted to, but I don't want to. So I use that to like kind of like see like how I feels to really be in that mindset of I don't have to drink because I don't need to. I just want to, so I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? So that's why I do that, just so I can say that I've done it, and that it proves to everybody that I'm not addicted to alcohol or an alcoholic. It's impossible. That
you
the whole
lost
theory
me like
is gone.
halfway through, but so by you doing this, you're showing you're not an alcoholic.
It's just saying because a lot of the times I get drilled on people saying that I am an alcoholic, but then I say, well, okay, if an alcoholic, if you really like, I've already said so many things that I do are not the characteristics of an alcoholic, so I have to take that to a higher level and prove to some people that I am not, because the constant name calling keeps continuing for some reason. And even though it's not true, they're spitting out lies, so I have to do it. In order
defensive.
for me
Yeah,
to...
if you know this like truly about yourself, why go out of your way to prove it?
Because it doesn't stop, and that's one of the damn things that people say, like, whenever I would crack open a beer or have multiple beers, like an alcoholic, you don't have to stop drinking, like, oh, shut the fuck up, I'm just having some fun, you know? I want to have a drink, let me have a fucking drink. That's what happens, though. That's exactly what happens. So whenever I do that, I'm like, hey, see, fucker, I don't have to drink. I never had to drink. I'm just doing it because I want to. So you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I can't tell if Elijah's dead or his camera froze.
Oh, no.
We lost Elijah.
We lost him.
Dang.
Hang on.
Elijah
It's
died
funny
right
that-
there on his
Yep.
chair.
Right when you said that too, gone.
Let me bring
I
it
noticed he
back.
wasn't blinking for a while. I was like,
my
last I
God.
checked, this guy's not a psychopath. He has to be
Yeah.
blinking.
Sorry about this, folks. Technical difficulties again. This guy doesn't have the best internet.
I'm sure by now everyone's experienced these difficulties
I know.
with work
I know.
and school and Zoom. I don't know why it's just
And
Zoom.
streams.
Yep, and streams. We've all been
And look,
there.
even in real life, Andrew is dead.
Yep, KO'd
Gone.
every day. Every
Well, until
day.
he comes back, how have you guys been doing? I see Zach is sipping on some Mountain Dew, I think. Nope. Or is that just another a different soda pop?
Did you create that elixir
Nope.
yourself? What was it?
I did. It's called Tokyo Tea. It's rum, gin, tequila, vodka,
Oh my God!
triple sec, Midori sour.
Let's shift this intervention to Zach. Zach, you are an alcoholic, sir.
Yep.
one
true.
drink,
It's too
with
bad.
a bunch
What
of
was this
alcohol
drink?
in
A
it.
Tokyo Drift? Would you say it was?
Tokyo Tea. Not
Tokyo
Tokyo
Tea.
Drift. There's no GTRs involved, Michael. I'm sorry.
If this was Tokyo Drift, you'd be drinking a Corona.
No.
And only a Corona.
Nope.
Isn't he in that movie though, or is he not in that
The
movie?
last like
He's
2
not
minutes.
in that one. Wait, is he?
Very,
He's in it?
very end. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's like
so
a
he is in
cameo.
it. Yeah. So it's like, Corona is like the staple of Fast and the Furious. So like the Tokyo thing, I could understand
Not-
like you would say Tokyo Drift as a joke, but like,
It's a staple of Dom Toretto, not Fast and Furious.
but they all drink Corona when they're a family,
But in
at the
Tokyo
very end.
Drift, they're in Japan. They're not drinking Corona over there.
Yeah. Well, you don't know that. You don't know that.
I didn't
that
see
if-
one Corona in that movie.
I haven't even seen that movie. I
It's
saw
a good movie.
1, skip 2 and 3, 4 on to the rest. Saw those ones. I don't know why I didn't see Tokyo Drift though. I think it's
It's
because
the only one
like,
I've seen.
Nuh-uh, you're lying. You've seen 7, right?
No.
Have you not
I've
seen
maybe
7?
seen like 20
might have
minutes at
seen
your guys'
5.
house.
Mhm.
I have not seen that one.
Ooh, Fast 5 is good.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
Introduction.
Because
of
I never went with you guys to any of the movies because I didn't want to.
You want to spend the
All
money,
right.
huh?
No, I have no interest in seeing those movies. Even when they're on TV, I don't watch them.
Mm-hmm. Well, sorry about that, guys. I mean, Elijah was here. Now he's vanished. He's offline. I will
His house must have
continue
burned
to
to the ground.
I will continue
Right
to try to
there.
communicate with him to try to get him
The
back
internet
on, but
connection
we'll see about
is,
that.
It's gone now. It's kaput.
When
See,
you live in the
thing
middle of
is-
the wild,
Yes.
these things happen.
Mhm.
When your house is made
He's a
out
mountain
of
man.
something,
For those who
yeah.
don't know.
Yesterday we were testing it, or no, not yesterday. 2 days ago we were testing it, and he was a bit laggy at points. He was doing his like little robot thing, like he does on Xbox Live.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that maybe it's because I wasn't wired, because I was just doing it off of Wi-Fi, and I was thinking that maybe since I'm not wired, it might be, a bit, hiccupy, but I have no idea. He just went kaputsy.
His robot voice is one of the funniest things I've ever experienced.
It has become an absolute meme.
It's like we're in a movie where we're like inside the internet, and then like someone dies and they become like just ones and zeros, and their voice just gets all robot-y and they fade away into the program. That's what it sounds like.
Like, honestly, like if you can mimic it, like it's literally like yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Like it literally becomes like beeps
vanishing.
and boops. Like he's fucking Morse code.
It knows what important parts to cut out. So then you only hear like, so what do you think? But you did not hear the question.
It was like a cliffhanger. He's like, what I thought about, and then nothing.
Yep.
And then he gets mad. We haven't responded. We're like, we didn't hear what you said, bruh.
The root, like the big like middle part of the question would be the most important part, and then like, so what do you think about that? Like, and that happens all the time. And when that happens, we can't bear but laugh because it's like, oh my god, dude, this is like, you don't know this, but like your connection is so bad that you just sound like an idiot when you're talking because. And it's the funny thing is like, he's a really interesting guy, I would say, like one of the most interesting guys that we all know, I think, and like it's because like his whole situation is that he's like. We almost make fun of him too much for his living situation because of where he lives and all his dilemmas that he goes through, right? Because we said that he lives out in the country, which he says that he's always infested with bugs, vermins, all that crap, and that always comes up in him, and then we make jokes about that.
He was on the toilet one time, and there was just a possum staring at him through the window.
Yeah. And then the guy just sends in a picture of like, look at my friend, and it's just a possum outside the window. And like, bro, you got like a secret admirer.
And I think
looking...
that was like the son of the rest of the possums that were extinguished. And so this one was trying to get revenge for their family.
I know.
Let me resume my recording. Excuse you.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now we're back.
Welcome.
The bees live in one of the walls that just so happens to be my room. Don't worry though; they can't normally get in.
Okay, that's normally. Good, but you can hear them in the wall.
I mean, like if you get close to the wall, otherwise it's not really a problem.
Yeah, but like, is there a point when they're like super loud and it's like, oh my god, I'm not even at the wall, but I can hear them.
That's springtime from like the birds, shit like that.
That's good. That's good. Elijah, so
yes,
something interesting about you is that I believe that you went back to school to get your master's degree, correct?
I did.
And you're doing that right now. Now, how long of a process is that? Because I don't have one, so I have no idea.
Hypothetically speaking, it's 2 to 5 years.
2 to 5 years. Okay.
In general, it's 2. That's what the goal is. It can go to 5 years, at least for my program, because you're working on your thesis, lots of research, lots of hoops.
Now, like, correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be wrong. But a master's degree, in order to get this, you have to like write like you said, a thesis on like something that you think of, or like something new, like you research and this is like a new proposition, and then it's like new like that. I don't know.
So master's degrees in general, you end up having to write a thesis, which is new research,
correct,
or a synthesis of old research, something along those lines. One of the other options, which is the option that at least right now I'm pursuing, is that you get to the end of the 2-year and you can take the tests. For the history program, it means you approach 3 professors and they write test prompts, and you have a day for each of these tests, and it's essentially an essay that you have to write. And it's at the beginning of the semester, they'll give you probably around 50 books each to work through to really understand a topic. And then at the end, they give you a kind of comprehensive test that you need to answer in like essay format, as opposed to doing a thesis, which is research that could take you all the way through, those 5 years. And this is including working through summers. This is including working through breaks. This is including, travel for like access to research databases, repositories, stuff like that.
So you've begun that during the pandemic.
How
has that been like? Because like you said, there's like little resources out there for you to physically go to, like a library for sake, right? But like, has that hindered it? Has it slowed it down? Like, where's the progress with that at?
It's definitely slowed it down. slowed down research now for the classes because most of the classes operate on a read a book a week, and then most of it's either written assignments or classroom discussions. I think that the master's students have an easier time with the pandemic than, say, somebody like Michael or like Zach. Maybe not Zach, but people who are going through the program in other fields who have to participate in lectures and stuff. I feel terrible for freshmen who are entering this semester. Can you imagine having to sit through, an hour and a half lecture with 70 other students or something along those lines in a Zoom call meeting and be expected to remember that kind of stuff? I realistically don't think a lot of students are going to get a lot out of this semester, especially for the younger kids, like in high school and such.
Exactly. I agree with that because, I have a brother, he's in college, started a new semester at a new school because he transferred. And, I know, school can kind of get you down a bit, but I feel like with, this specific semester, he's just down the entire time because it's all on Zoom. He's like, oh, great, I got to go to another class on Zoom and try to learn or something like that. Do you think that's going to be well, I know you already said it, but how do you think teachers will adapt to that? Because we've already kind of talked about that and how they could adapt and how they could kind of cut corners because again, it is on Zoom, but it's how would a teacher approach that in a good way, or is it even possible to do that?
So first, obviously with the four of you, there's conflicting opinions on how education is supposed to work. Michael's going through the psych program, so he's at least dealt with some different ideas for learning and how that's all supposed to function. Zach, I know, is at least well-read or pretends to be well-read enough to kind of understand that. Andrew doesn't care because he's sitting all the way in the back. He's shooting 3 throws right now. I think for a lot of teachers, it's a struggle to make sure that you still have the connection with students because that is a part of it, especially for high school and younger, for grade school, is a connection with the teacher and the student to make sure there's a level of respect that you have, reciprocity between you as the instructor and, you as the student. And if you don't have that, students don't really pay attention too much. When you put yet another barrier in between there, so online, it removes the kids from the coursework. You guys may not like me bringing it up, but there were studies done, and they have some validity to them to this day, that if you do something by hand, you remember it more often. And the same goes for learning, especially for younger kids. Hands-on learning, hands-on experience is much more valuable. I think as adults, we have either the patience or just the sheer I've got to do this, to sit down to listen to online lectures, to engage with that. But for kids, I could just go over here if I'm using a personal laptop instead of a school laptop and play Minecraft. It's not hard.
Yeah, that's a good point because how often do you think all those kids are just focused on that Zoom meeting, just not doing anything but the Zoom meeting?
So I have a friend of mine who got hired last year before this all started, so last school year then. He's hired as an English teacher. I know that he has a terrible time with his students this semester and trying to get them to stay on task. He said, forgive me if I'm misquoting, but I believe he was saying about a third of his students were failing those first couple of weeks because they wouldn't do anything. Zach, you could look surprised, but you remember, back in, let's say, freshman year, because freshman and senior years, those 2 years are you have either senioritis, which is literally just a excuse for apathy, or you have freshmanitis, which is the combination of hormonal autism and I don't understand what's happening.
Yep. So you can see that. Michael, you've been on Zoom meetings and all that. Do you stay on the Zoom meeting or do you do other things?
Depends. At this point, in a lot of psychology classes, I'm so familiar with the material. It's just been done to death for me. There's a lot of overlap in the different fields of psychology. So if I'm already familiar with it, I'm running something else. I'm playing a game or something because I don't feel like I need to pay attention because I know what it is. If I hear, in the headset that they're bringing up a new topic, I'm like, okay, let me pause this. Let me listen to what they're saying. But a lot of people, I know that there's some because they get caught. They just sign in to the Zoom so that they're there, and then they're not paying attention in the slightest. Because the professor will call on them, and it's nothing's happening. Their mic isn't turning on. They're not in the chat, anything. So, but not even all the professors require you to have your camera on. But the ones that do are definitely aware of this problem that, these students aren't going to be paying attention. so I'm gonna make them turn the camera on. So it's just case by case, what the students are familiar with already in that point, what they feel like they need to learn, what they feel like they need to pay attention to. Very complicated.
Now, Zach, you don't have Zoom meetings, do you? Or
I do once a week, like a set time, and that's all it is you can come in if you need to ask questions, like get some help. And that's kind of like the office hours, I guess it would be, because that's our set lab time that we normally would have had. But everything else, like all the lectures and everything, are all pre-recorded.
Okay. That's not too bad. So, Elijah, I think I was on the podcast last time that you currently sub, and, like, that's not that big of a deal, but, like, since the pandemic thing, I would assume that there's no demand for substitutes now. Or is it
you would be correct.
Exactly, so that's got to be,
you
like...
would be correct down here.
Yes.
In the glorious state, the golden state of California, with our mayor, who I will refrain for using my personal nickname for him, in his, big brain moment, schools can't meet in person with the exception of, like, I think 3 in the state that applied for the exception. But they're talking about going to a hybrid model at the high school that I used to sub at, so hopefully I might start working again. So that's nice. However, I have a personal point that I'd like to bring up, mainly because it's bait, but I think there's some fun stuff you guys will enjoy. So my father, who works up in Idaho as a substitute, he's they stopped going to school for a little bit, but they came back, right? Students there have the option to show up in person or to do work at home. A lot of them choose to show up in person simply because I think the parents need them to be in person. I think we all understand this. Parents have places to go, businesses and jobs to do, right? I mean, there's reasons to not keep kids at school. As much as I'd like to defend the profession of education and teachers, there are, of course, exclusions and bad apples in the group.
Jesus.
My father was subbing for one recently. I will read to you what the instructions were left for my father. You'll enjoy them. Now, keep in mind, the instructions I will be reading are for freshmen. This teacher has been gone for 3 days, and the first 2 days she was gone, all of the assignments up until this point have been only online. Only online. Even for kids who show up in person. First 2 days, the Wi-Fi in the school, gone. They could not access or do anything online. They couldn't do any of their assignments. This is a creative writing class for freshmen. And then I believe juniors as well. Let me see. So it's freshmen and then juniors for a different class, but this is for the freshmen. I will now read this. Almost none of them are finished on Ingenuity, which is what they use. Most of them are wasting time online and not doing the work. Please circulate and keeps kid on track, because this teacher has a hard time believing that my father is doing a job and not just letting the kids run free. Like it's his fault that he personally sabotaged the Wi-Fi. First, have them log and check Google Classroom. They will spend about 7 minutes listening to a video from me going over my expectations. They have to be wearing headphones for this. I am not pleased with all the time wasting going on, and I need more support to keep them on track. I am reading verbatim. Then, they will spend about 10 minutes writing me an email. Please circulate to ensure this is happening. After 17 minutes have passed, have them hit send on the email, whether they are finished or not. If they have not really begun the email at all, have them put their laptop away, because they are essentially refusing to work, and giving them a laptop only enables this. If they are disruptive with no laptop, they will go to the office. The contents of the email.
Jesus Christ.
So, today, this is today's assignment. The first assignment to be done within the first 17 minutes. Watch the video, this email. First, subject line, my grade 923. Address me by the name. I will not read the name. Say something polite to start with. Then, write me something, at least 3 sentences, explaining why you have the grade you do. If you have missed a lot of days and didn't get around to making up the work, write that. If you have completely blown off the assignments, write about why you are not doing your work. If you are happy to report you have no missing assignments and are trying your hardest, then write that. Now, you have to make a new paragraph. Tell me, now, what is your plan to improve your grade? If you have an A, just say how awesome that feels. If you have a D or F, What will be the long-term consequences for having a low grade? And then she gives some examples. And then sign off with your name, sincerely. So yes, that all has to be done within the first 17 minutes of class because this teacher has essentially lost control.
My God.
Now, as much as I'd like to defend teachers and like they're not all like you, there are some examples like this, right? Where you have freshmen who are, how old are freshmen? Like
14,
13,
15,
14.
maybe.
So 14 and 15-year-olds who you found out are slacking off on work they couldn't do in class. So you have them write a couple paragraphs about why they have the grade they do and why they deserve they have the grade. You deserve this. It's absolute silliness. Some people do not handle this well. Yes, Andrew? I see your hand was raised.
Thank you, sir. You said that the Wi-Fi was down for 2 days, and you said all the work is done online. What happens in the class then?
Well, considering that my father was left literally no instructions as to what to do if this happened, he had them work quietly on other topics, right? Other things that they could do for other classes and stuff like that, or do quiet reading, or maybe talking amongst themselves, because there were no other alternate instructions given, and there was no way to complete the actual assignments.
And when the students go to the in-person class, is it the normal 8 to 3 or whatever it is? Is it a normal day or is it shortened?
Up in Idaho, this is going to be something for you guys. Their days are a little bit longer. I believe they start 7:40 and they go till 3:45, somewhere around there. So it's closer to a 9-hour than an 8-hour day, but they do not have school on Fridays. And per district policy, most of the teachers are to make sure that most work can be done in class because they're trying to shy away from assigning students homework, with the idea that students have ongoing lives. I personally think that this is a dumb decision, but I'm not the one who makes policy.
Shoot, so, like...
This sounds like the perfect storm. Because you remember, in my mind, I'm a delinquent. I'm a horrible person. So I come up with these scenarios. This sounds like the perfect storm to just cancel school. If all the work's done online and there's no way of doing online work at school, why am I at school? Just send my ass home.
One would imagine that would be the reaction, right? And there are some students that, sent emails later on that says, hey, I can't do this. And she responded with passive-aggressive emails, because some people who teach aren't truly adults.
Thank you.
And that statement, however, does not just carry through to the field of education. There are psychologists who are not adults. There are tech support people who are not adults. There are adults who are not adults. Just people who are unemployed living in their parents' basement.
Of course, yeah. But, like, when that happens...
Thank you!
Whenever that happens, though,
Said
like,
the quiet thing out loud,
what is the
folks.
situation? Like, what do we
What
do
do you mean?
to make it better?
I tell you what you do. You walk the fuck home.
You
Go
don't
home.
have any power.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. But what are the people who are in charge? What do they do to, like? What's your suggestion?
So my suggestion to the educational department when you have educators like this, is that the
Fire
question?
them.
Do we just fire them, get new people, or
No,
what?
what is your question? That's what he's asking.
What's the suggestion to improve the situation? Because clearly this isn't working. Do we just send all the kids back home, like Andrew said, or do we try to do physical school, but like still doing on laptops?
I would suggest either do physical school, or this is going to sound unfortunate, but don't have schooling going on. If you have school going on simply to move forward the next group of factory workers, you're not doing these kids a service.
Mm-hmm.
Pushing them through it and just letting them pass, even though these kids are clearly not picking up the things they should be, or even pretending to, is just going to hurt them later on. I don't think it's fair to the student.
I agree, because like this, the Zoom thing is, again, to some people that they could do it with ease, no problem. Others, they get distracted and all that, and then they're not learning, and then they're fucked for the next year, right?
Right.
So then that's what happens, and it's like, oh shit. So they're like, in your opinion, should they have even had physical school, or should just stay at home and do online
Well, I
stuff?
mean, that gets into talking about how the U.S. handled the plague, and I thought we didn't do politics.
No, you're right. But let's just make a hypothetical.
That's a bait question. This is like being in a room with one of our friend's brothers. Because every time I talk to that man, he comes in with like political things. I'm like, why would you do this? Go play with your son.
It's fun, but you know, because like, you know, we're just talking. We're in the heat of a moment. We're not preaching. We're not preaching to anybody. We're just talking about it. That's what we're doing. I know you're like, no, we can't talk about it, but like I personally think that we can talk about that.
I as the guest, I have executive privilege to say no. Zach, how are you doing?
Elijah also
I'm doing
works in a
great.
very professional job and can't have
true.
stuff linked back to him, Alex.
True, but
This
he's
would be a
not.
very bad idea.
I mean, sure, but like,
No,
we're just
don't
talking.
just throw it to the
this is-
side.
we are-
This
we
is
are
real life,
in-
real life
10-minute rant
consequences.
is code for I don't care.
We are
There you
just
go.
we are just talking. Though.
I
We're not
saved 10 minutes.
again. We're not preaching to
When
the public.
will that ever actually work? Just saying, oh, we're just talking.
When we're in court a year from now, we can't just say,
When
"Oh,
they play the
this guy was
tapes.
just talking."
We are just
I mean,
talking.
if
you're gonna be the first one in
it
jail.
is on the listener to take that choice and make what we say
I've,
God's
making
fucking
an
Bible.
Decision to, if we ever get in trouble, we just throw Alex under the bus.
Yeah, of course. That's what everybody would do, though, including
Well, I
you.
mean, more than likely, the odds are you're the one who's starting it.
But it's not for fucking a bad thing. It's just talking about it. Jesus Christ, people are just so afraid to talk about things nowadays.
Well, I'm not, but other people are.
Exactly, because the people that are so afraid and timid about it.
Yeah, but there's a lot of them.
Exactly, but,
They'll
but
eat me.
the thing is that sometimes those people can be wrong about their shit. So
Never mind, continue.
when that
I mean, Alex,
Hit him!
part of my thing is that I would like to be an educator moving on, right?
true, yes.
So I need to start exercising some sort of removal
Educate!
from my own beliefs, right, and to what I just tell the kids. We've all had teachers and professors who overshare, and we're just talking, right?
Exactly.
If no, stop. I'm not done. If I just talk as a teacher, I am at a different power level than my students.
But you're saying
just
as a
talking.
teacher.
Right, and if I want to do that, I gotta start working on that shit now.
Yes.
So
yes.
if I just talk as a teacher and educator, position of power to these high schoolers, right? Because I would like to teach history, that means that they give that more credibility than if it was just me and Joe Schmuck talking on the street.
Mm.
You kind of see where I'm going with that?
I got
wasn't
you, yeah.
lying. I know Zach has a topic. I know he just look at him. He wants to bring it up so bad.
Yep.
Zach, you had something, or was that just a thing, Elijah?
I mean, I have something, I thought the perfect time to bring it up would be when Elijah was gone, because, I have a feeling he's going to have some hot takes, and I feel like Alex won't be able to get his 2 cents in. I was going to try and help you, Alex, but I guess
Go ahead.
it's too late now. But, one of Alex's favorite developers of all time,
fucking hate
developers of the second greatest game of all time, Skyrim,
Yep.
they just got bought out by Microsoft, Andrew's favorite company of all time.
Yes. Bought out for $7 billion. In fact,
7.5.
7.5 billion dollars.
Educate him.
Now,
Education.
is that the most that Skyrim has ever been sold for?
You know what? Maybe. We don't know that for sure, but yeah.
We'll have to wait. They're not done with it.
That's true. It's
There's
always
still
going to be
more
on
coming.
Game Pass. They'll
But
keep selling it to you.
they were bought by Microsoft. Again, Andrew's baby, my baby too. In a way.
Excuse me.
I'm a big Xbox supporter, so when I heard this news, I immediately thought, "Oh, Fallout, Skyrim, Starfield, exclusively on Xbox, correct?" But
Why would you assume
I
that?
read some stuff today, because I had to read it, and I was reading like they're gonna do this case by case on the games that are planned for the future. Now, what I'm thinking is, obviously that they bought this for a reason, right? You don't just spend $7.5 billion on something that you don't think you can capitalize on. I think potentially what's going to happen is that the games that Sony has, the exclusives that Bethesda are coming out with, what are they called? They're like
Deathloop.
From
Deathloop.
Bethesda and
Yeah.
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yeah.
and then Deathloop, right?
Yeah.
So those are going to be the same. Those aren't changing. They can't, basically.
Yeah.
I feel like Elder Scrolls 6, Fallout 5, Fallout New Vegas 2, potentially, will, in fact, possibly be Xbox exclusives.
Can you talk faster?
Xbox
Jesus
exclusives. I think that's what's going to happen because I think that they saw our podcast, and then they thought that well, these people don't think that we're taking it seriously about games that we have in our lineup. Because if you look at the Xbox lineup, what games really jump at you that would entice you to buy that console?
I don't
Besides
know what
Halo.
they are.
Gears of War, maybe. Minecraft, maybe. So, yeah, those games, but, like, when you add in Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Starfield, you're building up that exclusivity catalog. So that's going to make them... And they could put all those on Game Pass from day one. So that'll even make it so that you will buy the Xbox. And wait, I don't have to buy it $60, $70. I can pay $10 a month to play it? Fuck yeah! So, like, this to me seems like they're reigniting the console wars in a way. Because, like, think about what PlayStation has. PlayStation has God of War.
Alex, you keep going on more and more tangents.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to make a point, though. So, like, think about this. Like, the reason why... But this is the reason. This is the reason. This is the reason, though, because they spent so much money on this that they're not going to be dumb about it. They will eventually make these exclusives, I believe. Thoughts? Anybody? Because I'm pretty sure I can't be the only one who thinks that.
They won't.
You don't think so?
I mean, they can do whatever they want. They paid $7.5 billion.
But I'm saying...
I don't even think they've decided.
I really don't think they'll start doing exclusive because Xbox has always been the guy who's trying to push not exclusive, sorry. Xbox is more willing to work with other groups like the Switch, and they talked with Sony about doing that kind of stuff because Sony's the one who owns PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Their Xbox just talks about it, and then Sony's like, we're not doing that. We can't. I'm sorry. It's literally impossible. So I really don't think that Xbox would then turn around and say, neener, you're not going to get, Skyrim 43. It's not. I don't see that as a cool business decision. Especially considering they're moving away from having only Xbox exclusives. Halo is now run-of-the-mill. Eventually we'll get it on the Switch.
See, that was all good until they bought them. So then that whole mindset shifts a bit. Because again, like you said, they were always for playing whatever you want on the Xbox, right? But then they buy them. They monopolize it a bit. So that it almost seems like they understand where they were going, but maybe they were slightly wrong on what they were thinking. Maybe they were thinking like, okay, yes, we still want to compete with them because that competition is good for business, but like we don't really have much that's coming out that might excite people. Let's buy Bethesda.
I really
people know what Bethesda is.
Alex, I don't think that they decided to buy an entire company, a very large company. In case you were thinking Bethesda's like one studio, it's very large. It's very large.
Well, yeah.
So I really don't think that they just decided to buy some very large company because you thought, or maybe somebody else thought, that they didn't have good games in the lineup. I don't know if you know a lot about console releases, but it seems to be when a console's released, they have like 2 games, and that's about it. Do you guys remember the Wii U? Do you remember that was a thing? Yeah. Everybody remembers the Wii U. Everybody remembers, okay, cool. Xbox One came out and had like 2 things with it. Great. I really don't think that the whole, we need to have exclusives right now when the console drops. No. It's a hardware thing.
No, but I'm not saying when it drops. Obviously, that can't happen. But what I'm saying is that in the future, that's what they're going to go for. I think because I don't know, dude. It seems like they shifted their entire business idea. Why would they change
their model? Why would they change their business model?
I think because honestly, they've been just fighting an uphill battle this entire time, and now they've noticed it, and that it's a real thing. That they see that their numbers have just been depleting. I honestly don't think that they like seeing those numbers and their competition.
When has a business ever been dissuaded from doing a hardcore fight? They don't just give up. Oh, damn, Sony didn't cave halfway through. That'd be like saying Disney gave up trying to, steal the rights for a movie halfway through. They don't.
They have in the past, though. That is what happens, though. Like if what do you mean no?
You're saying basically they're gonna fold because they're gonna shut down because of Sony's bullshit exclusives.
They are. I firmly believe that the exclusives on Sony really sell on the PS5 sales.
Yeah, because
PS4,
there's a lot of
PS,
bullshit
PS3.
people that strictly play the single player games. I mean, good for
I
them.
think
but I don't.
that's a bigger majority than you think, though. Like, it's huge, though. That's what I think.
I think part of the issue with single-player games is when you buy a single-player game, you buy the story, right, because that's what it is. You play it, and then you don't necessarily need to buy it again, as opposed to, literally the four of you who's like, you guys smell that? You feel it in the wind? A Call of Duty is being released. I got to go buy it.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Hell
So,
yeah,
but
it's
I understand that. Now I want to get to your longevity of what you think a game should be worth. But stick with this. Zach, do you have any thoughts on the whole buying of Bethesda by Microsoft or no? Why it could
You
happen?
kind of lost me with all your tangents, but I'll just give my original thoughts. So, I mean, I think it's probably great for everybody because, I mean, Fallout 76, I know Elijah, he kind of started to like it a little bit. And, like, me and Michael, we all tried it. And I think Alex tried it, too. And
Yes,
Andrew
I did
as well. We all thought it was all right, but it was definitely, like, a flop. Like, that was not successful.
The game was broken.
And I think how AAA games are made now, like even if you're a huge company like Bethesda, you're like one flop away from being like the ugly duckling of game developers. Like they are a joke right now.
Yes.
Good.
And
Yes. That should
so, I mean, yeah, I mean, Fallout 76, like, I mean, now it's not nearly as bad at the beginning, but like at first it was like, that was terrible.
Yes.
And like, so they're totally deserving of that reputation. I think, like wasn't just like a bad game, but there's microtransactions everywhere. Like it was horrible. And I think them being bought by Microsoft like allows them to just focus on like, hey, we don't need to make crazy amounts of money. Like we can just focus on, let's just make a really good game. And I think that gives them the security to do that and not have these, like Fallout 76. I think their like premium thing that costs like $100 a year. One of the biggest benefits is you double your storage in the game, like a basic thing that you need in the game. And it's just like, oh, we'll just give you more if you give us more money. It's like, why? Like, I understand, like, you need money, but like, oh, that was pretty bad.
That was bad. Michael?
When I saw the news of it, it didn't faze me like one bit. Bethesda is like the company that I probably played the least games from. As far as like all the way through, I've maybe played like Skyrim and like Fallout 4, but that's it. Like everything else they put out, I've never been like, yo, another Bethesda game. I didn't play them that much in the past.
Whoa, wait a minute.
So
Fallout Shelter was awesome.
shut up.
That was a fun
Shut
game.
up.
That was fun.
Get out.
That was not.
That game was fun for like a
It was
day.
fun.
bait
And
out
then it
of
just
here.
When I played it and then I put my phone down and like 10 seconds later, it
Like, hey,
alerted
come
me
back,
already.
please.
Like, oh, there's something that needs your attention. Like, fuck out of here. I'm not going to attend to you 24 hours a day.
Michael, I see you haven't attacked in the clan raid.
Oh,
What about you,
Clash of
Andrew?
Clans.
What?
Any thoughts on the whole thing of them being bought? What it could mean for the future of Xbox?
It's a big fuck you to PlayStation
Exactly.
because they still live in the past like idiots. So we'll see how that goes for them. It's not the
what?
The real focus is on PlayStation, even though yes they did buy them. The focus is still on PlayStation because now
If
you want
they
to
will
see if
buy
they
somebody.
change in any way, huh?
Could they potentially buy
I don't know.
somebody along the lines of a Bethesda, like
Probably.
a
I don't know.
They
Ubisoft,
can't afford it.
a Rockstar?
Sony is a tiny company compared to Microsoft.
Also, you wouldn't want to buy Ubisoft.
That too.
Or you could just destroy them.
You could,
No,
I mean,
not
you
to-
could, but
just
Ubisoft would have
destroy
lied to you and stolen their building before they sell
but
it.
you
I
see,
don't. I
that-
think Ubisoft is also worth way more than Bethesda because they have
They
way
could,
more
yeah.
studios.
This is
and
true, they have a lot.
developers, so it would cost even more. And Sony, they just don't have the money for it. They're not a big enough company.
but
They're
like,
too busy buying not Superman, Spider-Man again
Yep.
and again.
but kind of wanted to go back to your point, Zach, about like 76 of how big of a loss that was, like a tremendous loss. I mean,
That's what he said.
I bought that the day it came out, and I couldn't help feel but a little bit like cheaped out because I was like, this game stinks, but I'll play it, and then I stopped playing
See,
it.
and you know what? Fuck
And then-
you, because you kept trying to suck us into it at the time, too, when
No,
you bought it.
but let me say what I said, that it was fun with
Make it
people,
quick.
though. It's fun with people, and I think that when you are having that fun with the people, all that kind of washes away. But when you're not with anybody, I do see where the gripes are about it being like pretty hollow, empty, not much content in it. But when you are with friends, I can't lie, when we were playing it, it was fun though, right? So
we've been over this, Alex.
This is your
you don't need to
old,
give your whole
yes, but that's
spiel.
what I'm just saying to back up my point of
This
why
is
I
your
bought
old
the game.
ban argument, like, oh, I'm getting yelled at, but I'm getting yelled at with my friends.
But
It's
dude,
like, what the fuck? Are
but
you
dude,
stupid?
but dude, Andrew. But remember when we
It's like
both
being in jail
were-
with your friends. It's cool.
when we both bought it when it
You're
came
in
out
jail,
though?
bro.
We thought it was fun though. Come on, you can't admit that it wasn't fun. You thought
I was
that.
playing fucking
Michael,
Fallout.
did you have something you wanted to bring up, Michael? Let's shift topic.
Wait, just last thing before.
Hold
No,
on.
it's still-
One
no,
more
we're done
thing
here.
from me, because I was trying to play with Alex. I was trying to do missions with Alex in that game. He kept brushing me off, saying, "Nah, I'm gonna go
I
do
did
my
that
own
because
thing."
I was such a higher level, and I thought
solved
that
the problem.
when you would do that,
But bro,
that
it
it would
would
be
play
harder.
together.
we
It
did.
makes up for the lack of
but we
content.
did, but because like you guys were so behind, we were trying to do it, but then you guys were like kind of struggling a bit, and then the whole thing with the event thing is so weird, and it's like I don't want to keep doing it, and the whole thing about Fallout 76 is that it was just a grind fest at the very end of the day. And
Wrong.
so I'm not a huge
Wrong.
fan of grinding games.
Wrong.
So like that's what also
You're
kind
wrong.
of drove me away from the game.
Did you beat the game?
No, I did not.
You don't know what
Shit.
it's about. Shut your mouth.
Dude, I can get what it is from how
Nope.
the gameplay is.
Sorry,
and at the
it's not
very
marketed
beginning,
to you.
bro, at the
Not
very
marketed
beginning,
to you.
before that they added NPCs in the game, it was a hollow shell of a game that all it was grinding
Hollow
events.
Shell.
Yes,
Hollow
bro.
Shell.
Yes, it was
I
so
spent
stupid.
many hours wandering that game, truly just cinematic moding
Immersed?
my way through it.
I understand that.
The
but,
developers put good money and time into
Okay,
this. You
listen.
should appreciate it.
but okay, listen, but Elijah, that is completely fine. I know you
What?
like those games a lot, but since I
don't
was
actually.
Oh, well, you spent so much fucking time on it. I thought you would have liked it.
I was
a
playing
bit.
with my dad.
Okay. But, like, I'm saying, like, I don't love those games that much, and when it came out, all it was a fucking scavenger hunt. You just had to go around, listen to the fucking
So is the
hollow
Witcher,
tapes
dude?
and all
What are you
that.
talking about?
No, bro, no, not to this level. All
Yeah.
you
How
do
you
is
doing?
Go,
all you
go
do,
fuck that lady. Go kill that dude. Scavenger hunt.
But, like, this one was just listen to a robot, go do this, get that for the robot, and then come back and do another quest for that same robot. And it's like, oh my god. To me, that's what I felt like. Yes?
Yeah. I have a point for you. All characters in video games are robots. They're all AI.
Yeah, but this one was an actual robot in the game, not an actual, like, person-like character.
Beep boop.
Beep boop, yeah. Beep boop. Last point, though. Last point.
Jesus.
And I wanted to go back because it keeps getting interrupted from what I'm going to say to Zach.
Just let it go. You don't need to get
What?
your whole
So,
manifesto
yes,
out.
76 was a big loss. But all you need is a nice, solid win with your next game to wash that all away. And I feel like when Microsoft bought them, they're like, hey, we're your new coach.
I hate
We're going to
this so
coach you up,
goddamn
and we're
much.
going to make you have a great game, and it's going to be on Xbox only. That's what I think, though. That's what I think. I think Bethesda was in a bit of a lull with leadership and who they were taking orders from and all that. And now that Xbox has them, the boy Phil Spencer knows what's going to sell, bro. I just think he knows they needed that coach. They got that coach. They're going to win their next
but
game.
having one success doesn't wash away what came before. Like
Yes, it
76,
does.
if
Yes,
it,
it does. That's
gonna stay
76
there for a long
was
time.
came out and it was like, you know what? Maybe this will be better than 4. No. Was
Which it clearly wasn't. But if you're looking to the future as your next game, your next project, whatever, you could easily wash away your sins with a nice home run of a game that you hopefully think that is good enough that people are going to like more than the last one that you did. Because if you think that, listen, they're never going to admit that Fallout 76 was a loss. They're not going to admit that, because then that means that they're going to admit that they're wrong, which companies do not tend to do. So as long as you can respond with a good game, that all gets washed away. That all gets washed away, bro. I have
I feel
a
like you're
feeling that this,
projecting your own personality onto all these players.
I mean, that's what he
assuming
does
that-
with all of his topics.
Yeah.
Can we move
Yeah.
on from this? We've covered 76 in at least four different episodes.
yes, we can, absolutely.
Michael,
Michael,
What's
wanted to
up?
Bring something up.
please. I told you to
Me?
bring a topic when I was streaming with Andrew.
Oh, I thought Andrew just said right now he's going to bring something up.
He said, Michael, you asked a
Oh,
question.
me?
You were
Well,
gonna say
they just
something.
announced right now, not officially, but there was a trailer for a Resident Evil movie coming to Netflix. But it's
Like
CG.
cartoon?
Like a
Yeah.
Netflix original type thing?
Mm-hmm. focusing on my boy Leon Kennedy, but it's not the live action one that we all know and love.
With Mila Jovovich.
Yeah, 3 of us here. Damn, very sad.
I know. I missed the superpowers fighting zombies. It's like taking superheroes, this holy thing, to what seems like you 3, and just crashing it down to bring it to a joke level fighting zombies. It's
I
great
don't know. I'm not even sure who's directing the Monster Hunter movie.
Fear.
But if it's her husband again, we're just going to get Resident Evil all over again.
He's
That's
gonna
the
have
only reason
superpowers.
why she's all superpowered and everything. Because her hubby's like, you know what? I'm going to make my wife badass in these movies.
I mean,
Fuck the lore.
yeah.
What?
So
If
what
you
you're
have that
saying
much money,
is
you're just the
that you
captain
don't
now.
like those movies, or do you like sort of like
It's a
them?
love-hate.
I like them for themselves,
Mm.
not how much they strayed from the source
game.
material. Know what I mean?
Yeah, and this show is supposed to be like
It's like books and book movies.
Like
Book
not-
show.
the show that you brought up, the Resident Evil show. Is
Movie.
Movie.
The Netflix movie?
Yeah.
Oh
It's,
shit!
it's a CG movie.
Is that going to be more like derivative from the games, or what is
Yeah.
that going to be? Okay, cool. What's it?
'Cause
Is there a plot or no?
I have no idea. It just got announced right now, like 10 minutes ago, I'd say.
But tell us about it.
I have no idea what it's about. I just know the main character is from the games.
Ooh, so
It's not focusing on the chick from the live action movies.
nice. But the
It's a shame.
guy from the game is a pretty well-known guy. I would say,
Very
right?
notorious,
Yeah,
yes.
so they got a lot to build upon that. They got a lot of pressure,
Mhm.
I would say, because the Resident Evil fan base, I don't even know if it's like that big or if it's just like do people like I don't want to sound offensive. Do people like rave about the new games when they come out? Because I never hear anything
Yes.
like that.
Yeah, they really.
Because you're not going out of your way to hear about it. You're just
Well, yeah,
like,
that's why
stuck
I
in your
asked.
little
Stay
bubble
in your
here.
Witcher
That's why I asked.
hole, and that's it.
That's why I asked.
Like,
though.
look, the guy next to you, Andrew, thinks Resident Evil 8 looks awesome. He doesn't even play those games.
Mhm.
So not only are the fans excited for it, people who aren't fans are excited for it.
That's a good thing, though. That's good.
It is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
But-
think it's a good thing.
I did not know that they weren't already planning to bring this new one to current gen.
Because guess what will happen, Elijah? Resident Evil 9.
Don't. Stop it.
So now I have to get a Series X to play Resident Evil, because I'll be damned if I'm not going to play it.
Weren't you already planning on upgrading though? Eventually,
Yeah.
I guess.
You were gonna wait though, right? You
I was
weren't
gonna,
be
yeah, I
day
was gonna
one.
wait, but now that I know it's not coming to current gen, I'm like, fuck, I gotta do it soon. Not, I probably can't even do it right now. These websites keep crashing
Mhm.
with all these pre-orders. Fucking sucks.
Oh yeah, didn't they sell out? Or did
Yes.
they? Yeah, they did.
Well,
huh?
I thought they
Both did.
got memed, or was that the PlayStations?
Oh,
That was
I
the
heard about.
PlayStation one.
I heard about
They
something
both
like
got memed.
they both got memed, right? Why? But
Yeah.
like, what
'Cause
happened?
they were
Like,
both a disaster. Like they sold out, but like most people couldn't even tell that they were sold out because the website would just be crashed or they'd just be stuck in a constant refresh.
And it was
like the pages just wouldn't load.
They got named by scammers, didn't they, or like resellers?
Nade.
I think some people did, but I don't think in huge numbers.
Okay.
At least for Xbox. I know PlayStation, there's a ton of them on eBay going for like tens of thousands of dollars. Like
Yeah, I think it
ridiculous
was the
sums.
PlayStation I was hearing about.
Michael, you can just get Resident Evil on your computer.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you
I
do
want it
that?
on the world's most powerful console.
Attaboy. Yes, that's what we
you
need
mean
to
the One
strive
X?
for.
The
Oh,
Xbox
God,
One
no.
X?
Oh,
Well,
no.
that's the current most powerful
Wow.
console. But when the
So,
Series X
are you-
comes out, that's going to be the most powerful
little
console.
over a month, are you gonna stop saying that because you can't anymore?
Yes,
Because
I
you
will.
You won't have it.
I will, because I know that for the fact that I'm not going to get it at launch. So, like, I will have to shift my words a bit and say the second or third
No, fifth.
most powerful or fifth
I don't think
most
you could
powerful
afford to
console.
buy it at launch.
Well, nobody can. They're sold out. So,
To be honest, I might get Resident Evil on the PS5.
Nice.
The
That'd be
digital
the way to go.
one. I prefer. I don't know why. I prefer to
prefer
play my
shit-
horror games
shit in
on
your
the
hands?
PlayStation. Nope.
Then
Shit in the
quality-
hand would be Bethesda. Microsoft just wasted billions of dollars on them.
well, that's their take, though. But,
Well,
That's
they
that's
pretty
why
much
he
mainly
said it
put
right
out
now.
single player, right? Which Andrew says is like kind of from the past. right?
That's
Stuck in the past.
Andrew,
So
man.
how is that a success? How's that a win?
it,
I'm confused.
Yeah, It takes away the single player games from the PlayStation.
Xbox
less
dead.
and less
It's
content.
done.
I'm
All
pretty sure
gone.
their exclusives are better than what Bethesda puts out.
Clearly, I would disagree, and I think the world would disagree with you.
You know, dude, you can't even stomach the Bethesda.
well, I
shit.
mean, no, I can.
This is
Well, I
good.
don't play the game, so
This is
I don't
good.
lose seven. I didn't
Yeah.
lose $7.5 billion. Microsoft did. And to go back to your other argument, you're wrong. Skyrim
Am
is
I right?
still selling. What is it?
it is.
Almost 10 years later.
Oh, you're right. He's right about that.
Skyrim
PlayStation,
is like a
PlayStation's
plague.
still,
They've been
still selling.
re-releasing, re-releasing,
Right?
re-releasing
What are they selling
Skyrim.
10 years later?
Huh?
What are they still selling 10 years
Their
later?
consoles. Their consoles keep
That's
outselling
not a
No,
game.
Xbox,
we're
right?
not talking about consoles. We're talking about
What's a
I'm
game?
just talking about
Skyrim.
PlayStation in general.
Oh,
It's not a game. PS4
I
didn't
thought
even
we were
exist
talking
10 years
apples
ago.
to apples, Mike. I didn't know we're talking about apples to oranges.
I'm arguing with Andrew.
What are you doing to me?
Zach, please.
I know. I
What are
want
you
to
doing
just
to
throw
me?
fire.
Come on.
Throw more fire.
No, this is just Andrew's endless, pointless fight against PlayStation single player games.
No, not pointless. It has a point. It's a sharp point.
What's your end game here?
Yeah, multiplayer's the
The
future.
end
Single
game.
players will pass.
Yeah.
I'm already at the end game.
Have you seen Fallout 76? It's the reason why it's the latest Fallout game. The multiplayer.
I'm
Checkmate.
already at the end game. I don't have a PlayStation 5. I'm not going to get a PlayStation 5. I don't succumb to the single player exclusives.
Your end game of your win is like, I didn't buy God of War. No one knows I didn't buy it, but I still won. I'm here
Suck
sitting
it
here
to
in my
Sony,
room
don't you
in
know,
my
Mike?
house.
I mean, come
I
on.
suck it to
You're talking to the
Sony.
guy that straight up didn't go see Star Wars and still has to see Star Wars. I have Star Wars.
And all the heads at
I
Star
have. I
Wars
can watch
are
Star
like,
Wars right
oh
now.
my
I could
God.
pull it up and watch
Why
it
isn't this guy
right
gone
now,
yet?
but I don't.
Yep.
I just sit at home and watch Mad Men all day.
Oh.
Well, we have to think about this. We have to think about
Disney,
this.
Kathleen Kennedy, J.J.
What,
Abrams.
tell me,
lost.
what do we have to think about?
The definition of stubborn, possibly this guy right here. Like, once he sticks to a point,
Well,
that is the point.
I make space.
I thought that was just like genetic for your household.
Yeah, I feel like it's both of you.
You know what? I used
That's
to
a
be that
Silva
way.
thing.
I used to be that way, like, with everything.
Use?
But now I feel like I'm able to, like,
You
absolutely learn, listen and learn
No,
what other points
you're
of what's
lying.
happening.
Stop lying.
Not true. Not true. Not
This is
true.
news to me.
Not true.
Yeah.
Like,
Alex, your thing is, I understand, but... And then you
yes,
completely disagree.
I understand, but you're wrong. But that's fine.
No,
that's
that's not
completely
fine at all.
I
That is
understand
a horrible
that,
way to
but
live
in my
life.
mind, you are wrong because
Because you can just say that, like, I understand, but... And it means nothing.
Have you, Alex? I have a question for you.
yes, yes,
Did
Why
you
is that
ever
such a
see the
horrible person?
Ballad of Ricky Bobby?
yep.
I mean, no offense, but saying I understand, but doesn't mean anything if you don't actually understand what the other person is saying.
I do understand.
True.
No, you don't.
Most of the time, I do understand.
You
no.
don't. You're
To-
lying.
Give me a fucking second.
Let him finish.
The notes.
Well,
Let
okay.
me- Let me consult
No,
my
let him
notes.
finish.
At least I appreciate
Okay,
that.
the ending of episode 87.
Yes,
When,
yes,
when,
yes.
when Michael
Star
is
Wars?
talking... I'd kill myself. Towards the very end of the episode, Michael ends a statement with, "You know what I mean?" And then Alex, in the moment of clear honesty, says,
Oh yes,
honestly,
yes. Yep.
no. That is the most honest you were on the entire episode because you
Because-
have these three gentlemen over here trying to tell you something, anything, and you literally only hear like buzzing when they're talking, and then you're like, okay, but this is my point that I wanted to say. In a conversation, if someone says something and the conversation has moved on, you do not rewind the conversation and then say your point 15 minutes later. Just let it go.
It is
Get
so
him.
hard to let things go, though. Sometimes,
do it.
sometimes it's very, very hard.
I understand it. It's incredibly difficult, but it is also something that everybody as an adult needs to understand.
Yes.
If you keep a grudge, you turn into a high school teacher who still sends emails to their students passive aggressively because they didn't send an email at 6:17 at night.
Ooh. Yeah.
Do not become,
You will
what
become
you
the
hate
enemy.
the most in the world. Do not become the director of Bethesda who thought he knew what he was doing. He didn't.
Well, I mean, we can all agree, yes. You're right about that. He did not know what he was doing. But I think that he learned from his mistakes.
Knew.
So we can move forward in that way. Correct?
Jesus
With
Christ.
hope about that, I
You're
think.
a horrible person.
Am I?
See, Elijah, you just explaining that all he heard is wah, 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 wah.
That isn't true. I heard exactly what he was saying. I heard
the
exactly what he
bass
was
from
saying.
Seinfeld.
It was, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you literally did it again.
No, I heard exactly what he was saying, but I choose to move forward. I choose to learn from my mistakes, and I'm not saying that I was wrong in what I was saying. Like when you brought it up again, I'm not saying like, oh, I didn't mean that. Like when I wasn't responding, I was letting you say it because that's what I was thinking. But now I think that since we've already heard that multiple times, I don't have to dwell on that and just move on, right? So when I move on, I'm not saying like I'm not thinking about that. I'm saying let's move on because now we've already reestablished that. I know what that is. I know what I did. So now we can move on. I guess I got to be more clear about that though.
Sorry.
But that's just me.
You just butted yourself. You like having the last word, huh?
No?
He's
When you
literally
throw in the
capable of
last
letting
argument, you're like, okay, let's move on.
But, okay,
has to.
usually when that happens is because, like, when I'm arguing a point, somebody would bring up another point when my argument, but then I'd be like, okay, I gotta finish this point, and then
No.
it's like, come on.
It is okay to leave arguments and points unfinished in the civility of discussion.
Yes.
That was it. That was the
But
point.
is there a but?
No, I don't think that
All
there's
right.
a but.
So now that we've
wow.
established, let's move on to the
Magic.
next topic.
Yes, man, yes. I noticed that it's gotten darker at your house.
Why would you
It
bring that
has,
up?
yes. By the
And you're no longer blue, by the way.
yes. As the outside light goes down and the artificial light stays on, I tend to become less blue if I'm wearing.
Yeah. Because we figured that out
Became more-
before.
What color
see-
is that?
I mean this. So watch this.
For the listeners.
Highlighter orange.
Highlighter. You see how the rest of it's getting blue? It's to compensate.
Yeah, blue as fuck. And like when before you guys were joined in the meeting, we were like, "Why the fuck is this guy blue?" Like, "Oh, it's probably my shirt." Like, "Oh god!" And then when he put it like moved away his shirt, he went back to normal. I was like, "What the hell's going on?" It's funny, but I mean,
The
it's just
joy of technology.
Elijah's, ridden with technology problems.
The thing is just life problems. I don't know if it's strictly to technology.
Yeah, I don't think this is a limited to technology thing for me.
Well, was there anything else you guys wanted to bring up?
Well,
I mean, I've
No.
got something though. I don't
Only
know if
because we got
Zach
10
wants
more
to be
minutes into
here
recording.
anymore.
You know,
If you
bring
can-
it up.
if you
It's a
can cram it
special
in 10
occasion.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have
Bring it
9.5 minutes.
Boy.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to bring up something that I mentioned last podcast. I'm sorry for bringing up the past.
it's fine as long as
Um,
it's you.
Happens a lot around
Not
here.
this son
Go
of a
ahead.
bitch.
Let's see here. No, where is it?
Yeah, so Elijah has notes of his grievances for
Yes,
everything.
yes. I tend to take notes on all the episodes, or I try to for the episodes that I am not on, which is a lot of them. And let me tell you something. Listening to these episodes back to back to back to back to back is.
Well, like, there's a reason that they're
I feel strong now.
there's a
Mentally
reason
stronger.
that they're released every week. You understand that, right?
Yeah, I mean, considering you can't
But-
get Zach to agree to meet more than once a week.
All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry to put that only on Zach, but like, I think he's
I'm
fine
fine
for
with
it.
that. Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about shows.
Okay.
Television shows in general.
My favorite.
Zach, Michael, you had brought up that when they release 10 episodes at a time, that kind of like tells people that like these characters have to make it to the end because there's 10 episodes, so they have to make it to the 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they release those 10 episodes. We know the show is about X, right? Therefore, X can't die until the end, or if we're watching something like Dark, X will die and come back 2 episodes later because it's time travel, and I hate you.
Yes.
So I just wanted to put that out there. And then Alex's thing about what show is that called with the family drama?
Oh,
Away.
Away. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about family drama and having different settings. So family drama is something indicative of the human condition, right? We're all human. I hope everybody has a loving family, right? Which means that no matter where a human goes in the world, your drama follows you, right? So it would stand to reason that no matter what setting a human is in, human issues persist If you have any understanding of the sci-fi genre in writing and otherwise, you would understand that a lot of drama deals with human drama in space. Dune is a perfect example. The backstabbery that happens in Dune and the religious undertones that go in Dune, those are all regular human issues in space. So your entire thing about they didn't need to burn their budget for a space thing, that is literally all of science fiction.
Oh, you know what? I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about what I said and why I think that the whole space thing, at the end of the day, with how many episodes that we got, it feels like, okay, so like in the show, it is said that this whole mission is supposed to take about 3 years, correct?
Okay.
And in the show, I would say like the show, like the first season is like maybe 8 to 10 months in the time frame, because the entire mission of them going to Mars, that the travel there, or to the moon, to Mars, back to the moon, back to Earth, right?
Yes.
So I feel like with all that drama and all that, it's like there's a lot of stuff that they did in that first season, which I think that they could have spread out more if they wanted to continue it, so that they go to Mars, do their mission, have drama on Mars as well, something that we haven't seen already. Because I feel like when I think me and Michael were saying, like, it doesn't seem like they can do another season because they did everything in that first one.
Correct.
So if they wanted to make that longer and maybe have more conflicts about it in space and focus on the space more and have more of a balance to it instead of it being lopsided, I see where that could have made the show better for me. But since they did it all in one season, I feel like there's nothing real. I mean, obviously that might have been the point, to just to do one season, maybe. But why say it's going to take 3 years? You're going to be away from your family for 3 years. I feel like they did everything in those short 8 months. So now that the rest of the 2 and whatever many months is going to be like cakewalk, I guess, or it's going to be a different show. So it's like, yeah.
To get to okay, for that, right? They only covered the first 8 months in the first season, and they might not, hopefully won't do a second season. First and foremost, you do not need multiple seasons to do a show. Zach's show that he watched ended in, I believe, 3 seasons, Zach?
Yep.
It's a concise ending, right?
Yep.
They took three seasons to do their story. That's all they needed. That's what they wanted. What you watched took a season. They told the story they wanted to, and it's done. They didn't need to pad it with extra influences or extra issues. In fact, you could look at it, so they only covered the first 8 months, right? And if everything's resolved by that time, it gives hope moving forward that the actual time on the planet, while they suffer some of the same issues, can be resolved. I've always been a big fan of contained stories. One of the worst things you could do as somebody who is engaged with any sort of like entertainment or media is run across something that isn't finished.
Got it.
And you know that they only extend it to keep selling things. That to me really hurts, because it's like they had a story and then they keep padding it. Much like, starting fights and arguments or not listening to other people and what they're talking about to artificially extend time. It doesn't make any sense.
But what about in like a show like that does one good solid season, the next season they do like it's even better? I know that's kind of rare, but like when they do that, it doesn't seem like so much of like a extending it for just to extend it, right? Then that in that way, like you're okay with it, right?
What?
Yeah, I didn't understand that question.
So when you extend the show and it doesn't seem like they're just extending it to extend it, like the story is like, it's been planned out and all that, then you're all on board, right?
If you set out to make a show that is supposed to take 2 seasons, you finish your 2 seasons, and then the studio says you are greenlit, make another season, I don't like that. The 3rd season could be better than both first and second seasons. I would still prefer to have that first self-contained story than an additional one. I might enjoy the additional story, but I do think it's helpful to keep it limited to the first one, especially considering how often has everyone here run across something that gets progressively worse. Maybe there's a good season episode, or maybe like there's a good episode here. Maybe season 7 of The Office is better than the surrounding seasons, but then it gets worse again.
Mm-hmm.
Tell your story and finish. Don't just keep trying to milk something.
Like Lost.
I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I gotcha.
And I think on that note, that would be a good end.
Yep.
Yep. Andrew's
for
already
today's
done.
podcast.
Yeah.
Andrew clocked out already.
Well, guys, thank you for listening to this episode. Thank you, Elijah, for being back on the podcast. It's good to see you, man. It's good to see
Always good, man.
Yep.
you. Good to see
Haven't
you.
seen you in months.
Yeah, it's been a while. Thank you guys for joining us, watching or listening. You guys know where to find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, at Out of the Ordinary Friends. We'll see you guys back next week.